Hello, welcome to the Conscious Earth. I'm Sabine. The last three videos were about the climate change, man-made or not. And today I decided I will finish this whole series with a positive outcome or positive solution, shall we say. So practical solutions for our planet. Over the last three videos we looked at the different reasons for climate change, natural cycles over thousands of years, human impact and a massive financial machine in the middle, looking at outdated global systems can be overwhelming. What I learned from a fantastic astrologer from the UK. He calls it the dinosaur system, which I wholeheartedly agree, because they are outdated. So that can cause anger, frustration, fear, and lots of other emotions when you're looking at those few who are making lots of money and 90% of people being left behind. And it's not very nice thing to feel when you see these people who get super rich and the average people working hard every day and trying their best and getting hardly anywhere, shall we say it that way. So yeah, and sitting around feeling helpless isn't going to change anything anyway. So looking at positivity, common sense and solutions. Now let's start with taking our power back and stop being treated like children by the ones in power or high positions. That's exactly what happened in the last few decades. More and more decisions have been made on our behalf, even if it were elected leaders who treating us like children or want to control the narrative, shall we say. So what can we do on a personal and local level? Well, it starts with you and me. Let's stop throwing stuff away and look where those items may be useful in other ways. So if you have furniture, for example, you do not need anymore or want anymore, have a look at places, whether it is on Facebook or any other social media platform. There are apps as well available where you can give away free stuff, and believe me, people will pick those up because there are plenty of people in need. So have a look at that instead of throwing it away and causing more problems with the landfill. So that's a part of recycling, obviously, but it's also nice to know that these things get a new lease of life. What we touched on in previous video about local communities with these things. Not only get unwanted items a new lease of life, we also can save money. Because it does cost money. For example, if you don't have a car, and you have to arrange for someone to come and collect it, they want money, obviously. Hardly anyone ever does anything for free, unless it's a good friend who will help you with a car. So yeah, there are ways you can go about. So local self-reliance and food literacy is another one. Meaning shopping locally, whether it's making sure in your local supermarket that you go for food items that have been produced locally. And thankfully some supermarkets are actually looking for years now into that to produce from local farmers and so on. So there are options. Where possible, you could grow some of your own veg, for example. Whether is so yeah, where you can grow your own veg, even if it's only a few herbs on your windowsill. If you don't have a garden or a balcony, you can have a look out. Often in the neighborhood, people have an overabundance on like fruit, like apples and stuff, which is the season coming up now, where you could maybe swap stuff. There are lots and lots of things. Just have a look, whether it's online, on the social media platforms, or find local communities and groups who can help you with that. So there are really unlimited ways to do that. This has an impact on reducing supply chains emissions, obviously, because if you go for things in the supermarket would not necessarily come locally or from the country itself, you have these long supply chains which cause emissions and so on. Then it's about the efficiency, obviously, as well. That's a conversation you could have in the family. If you sit down with your family, your kids, include everyone, you can have that conversation. You spend quality time with the family. You can find practical solutions. You can find habits, what may work for you, or change habits, whether it's including your children in recycling or any kind of thing like that. Just having a conversation about it will make a change in your awareness about the subject. So it's all having a very positive effect on yourself and your family, the environment. Individually, we don't need to fix the planet, obviously. We can't do it alone, that's clear. But if we take steps, just imagine like a chain reaction. It will have a massive impact in the long run. So picking up litter, plant flowers for local bees, for example, protect local trees or waterways. The options are really endless. There are so many groups forming in the last almost a decade now. Every local community has groups like that. If you just even go there and listen to what they say or what they do, whether it's of your interest or not, just have a listen and it will make a difference. So what needs to happen globally? Well, that's about a bigger picture. Corporations need to be more transparent and held accountable, and showing exactly what happens behind their closed doors. Maybe that be they inviting people in to show what their ways are, how things are being done there, fixing issues they created themselves and not looking for payouts from taxpayer money, which they often do. We need resilient infrastructure. That really needs to be an energy independency from the supply chains. Currently we have this problem with Russia and Ukraine for a few years now, and a lot of countries within European Union are used to getting their oils, for example, or gas from Russia. Now, with the sanctions, obviously, on Russia, you can't get that anymore. That can cause shortages. So, this kind of things, we really need the infrastructure to be energy independence from that, because again, it reduces a lot of carbon footprint in the long run. Clean and localized power grids ensure security and not reliance on other countries, for example, what I just said. So whether it's looking more into the green energy, that would be a conversation you could have, for example, on yourself with your provider for electricity, for gas, this kind of stuff. Encouraging cleaner technology, supporting research, I think that's all worthwhile stuff that taxpayer money could go to, for example, as well. Regenerative agriculture empowerment. There really needs a lot to be done for the farming locally and in our country, each country itself, and not being using pesticides and that kind of stuff. Efficient manufacturing, not just this kind of cheap stuff, what doesn't last very long. Let's say you have a washing machine. I can remember in my childhood, for example, they have been fixed and fixed and fixed. These days you can't afford this anymore because it's cheaper to buy a new one. So why not produce something would last longer, which can be fixed, but then obviously not being that expensive with the parts. Again, you got money-making machine there. It's all about the greed of these higher ups, isn't it? So yeah, the mindset needs to shift, taking our own power back with having our say and having a little bit deeper look who you're voting for example, when when local things coming up, elections. Have a look into the background of the person you want to vote for. What is their aptitude or attitude towards these kind of things? What were their actions in their personal life, for example, with when it comes to the planet and stuff like that. So it really is that where we can take our power back to put people in power, elect people who are actually do that not because they want to bolster their own money, their pockets, but they want to really do something for the planet and for human being and the next generation. So stripping away fear-mongering and corporate spin, practical solutions mean to respect common sense and responsibility on our own part as well, as much as the political parties and the corporate machinery. Focus on what you can do as an individual and look at habits, home environment, local environment, how you choose to spend your money, for example. This way, you're the one in power. Of course, change takes time. However, when more and more people looking locally first, we will get there. Remember, look at the man in the mirror. That's a song from Michael Jackson. Look at yourself first. Well, that concludes this little series about the climate change. Thanks. I tried to link the video about the local communities. If I manage to do that, I'm not sure. I'm not that versatile yet, but I will try. Okay, thanks. See you soon. Bye.